everyone, Alec Elger the SideQuest Gamer here, and Happy New Year! I have so much planned for this channel this year, but I do have some unfinished business that I want to deal with first, so without further ado, let's take a look at Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped for the PlayStation. How is it? Is it the best Crash Bandicoot game ever? We'll find out. Crash Bandicoot 3 is a very popular game among PlayStation collectors, and I can see why. The first game, while nothing I would revisit anytime soon, was good enough to win the hearts of PlayStation owners, including myself. The second game is a vast improvement over the first, and definitely my favorite in the series. The third one, however, it's great, but just great in my opinion. Developed by, you guessed it, Naughty Dog, and published by Sony, the game was given only 10.5 months to be made. Interestingly enough, 3 new game engines were created for this game specifically, with 2 of them being 3-dimensional for the airplane and jet ski levels, and the 3rd engine for the motorcycle levels. It was released to the public in 1998 and sold extremely well, but how does it hold up? Well, it holds up pretty well, although I do have a few issues with it. Spoiler alert for Crash 2, the space station from the previous game was destroyed after Crash collected the crystals and gems, but a piece of it crashes into a temple, releasing an evil spirit that so happens to be Dr. Neo Cortex's boss. That's right, folks. Cortex's evil schemes were masterminded by an evil mask, but now this spirit named Uka Uka reunites with Neo Cortex, expressing his disappointment in his previous 2 failures. Neo Cortex insists that it was the Bandicoot's fault, so Uka Uka, feeling generous, he enlists the help of time-traveling scientist Dr. Entropy. But back at Crash Bandicoot's house, the witch doctor mask that aided Crash before, known as Aku Aku, senses that his evil twin brother is now free and is up to no good. So he warps Crash and his sister Coco to the Time Twister device that the villains are using, and the adventure begins! The Time Twister is pretty much this game's hub world and is this game's warp room. Same goal as the previous game, collect the crystal in each level, as you'll need all 5 to fight that area's boss and move on to the next area. All 5 levels are available to access just like the previous game. Not only that, the box breaking gems are back, and now there's more emphasis on collecting them. At least when holding the triangle button, it shows how many boxes you broke in the level as well as how many are left. In the previous game, it only told you how many boxes you broke, but you wouldn't know if you broke enough boxes until you reached the end of the level, so it's nice to have this feature. Other gems require you to access gem routes, death routes, and secret areas, as they're just waiting to be found. Now, I enjoyed collecting gems in the second game, but in the third game, some of the gems were really annoying to find, especially since now a new collectible was introduced as a means to get the remaining gems in the game, and those are the relics. The relics appear in the levels after you collect the crystals and return to it, and the challenge is that you would have to finish a level under a certain time, but the yellow boxes freeze time for a few seconds they offer, and if you beat the level under a certain time, you would either get a sapphire, gold, or platinum relic. The sapphires are the easiest to acquire, but the gold ones require level memorization, and the platinums require level memorization and knowledge of enemy placement. You cannot waste a millisecond when trying to get the platinums. And I could never get the platinums, with the exception of the first level and the 2 super secret levels, but I once did get all the gold relics, and all it offered was a gem that just increased the completion percentage, but nothing else. No changes in the alternate ending. The relic challenges are a neat addition to this game, but since you need at least 25 to unlock all the bonus levels, it is optional, but an optional side quest to finish another optional side quest is something I'm subjectively not fond of. And knowing these levels sometimes require the dash power-up you wouldn't get until after defeating the final boss, that makes me even less fond of the relic challenges. The levels themselves are good for the most part. They all have themes related to certain time periods, whether it be medieval, World War I, prehistoric, Arabian Nights, motorcycle, Great Wall of China, or ancient Egypt. They're fun levels, but they aren't as fun to traverse through as the previous game's levels, but that's just my opinion. The typical Crash Bandicoot levels themselves are fine enough, but I really don't care for the motorcycle levels as the controls feel stiff, and because this would make me miss a few boxes needed for that level's gem or not getting in first place, therefore not getting the crystal, I wish these levels had a reset option in the start menu instead of me going back to the warp room, loading screen, and re-entering the level to try again. But as for the Coco levels, I do enjoy the Great Wall of China tiger riding levels, as it provides fast-paced action while not sacrificing good control. They're very similar to Polar levels in the second Crash game. But I don't care for the jet ski levels that much, as I often found myself accidentally running into floating bombs. I don't mind them for collecting the crystal, but when searching for the breakable boxes, I had the worst time on these jet ski levels, especially Tell No Tales. The biplane levels I'm also not very fond of, as no matter how many barrel rolls or sharp turns I do, I always get caught in enemy fire and shot down. I wouldn't fault the levels for this if only these levels had a targeting reticle. The second biplane level, Mad Bombers, is especially annoying with these issues since you have to stay in one place to aim at the bomber's engines and not get shot down at the same time. Try completing those levels. The underwater levels are okay at best. The underwater controls take some getting used to, but they aren't too bad once you get used to them. One thing I don't get with the gaming community is when games like Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 have multiple playstyles that violate tradition, it gets criticized, but when Crash 3 has multiple playstyles that deviate from the tradition established in its predecessors, it gets exempt from criticism. Not only that, but it's also the best game in the series for doing so. Now, these playstyles could have been a lot worse, and some of them do work fine in their own right, but when Crash 2 tried out the Jetpack and Swamp Rider playstyles, it still felt like a traditional Crash game. The Swamp Rider didn't control perfectly, but it still controlled fine enough. Other than the underwater levels, I can't really say the same for the other playstyles in Crash 3. And the thing is, I did have fun with the levels when just finishing them, doing just the bare minimum to get by, but when hunting for the boxes trying to get 100% for the alternate ending, the limitations got on my nerves, and when doing the relic challenges, it really got on my nerves. And I know there's going to be that one person in the comments section who's not even subscribed to my channel and stumbled into this video. He or she's probably going to write, "Oh, you only hate those playstyles because you suck at them." Well, to those I say, I suck at Contra, I suck at King of Fighters, I even suck at Metal Gear Solid 3. But when I died in those, it was because of my lack of skill. But when I died in the other playstyles in Crash Bandicoot 3, it was because it felt so cheap. It didn't feel like my fault. It's like, even if you have the skill, you're still going to run into those obstacles. Like I said before, the main Crash levels are good. The Dino Chase levels are pretty much a highlight of Crash 3, well, except for Rip-Off Yoshi, but they provided fast-paced action and some pretty good platforming segments. The Arabian Nights and Ancient Egypt levels are fun and represent their themes well, but I honestly don't feel they added anything new to the platforming table. Well, except for the fun Tomb Raider level with the rising water. That was a neat gimmick. Those moments can get pretty tense but fun nonetheless. I even like the medieval levels, but the future levels, again, fun to finish but are annoying to complete. Future Frenzy requires you to get 20 relics in order to access the secret passage, finish breaking the boxes and getting the gem in that route, but then a platform takes you to the middle of the level, forcing you to backtrack to get all the boxes in the beginning and then returning to the middle of the level. My advice is to hit the checkpoint box after you've finished backtracking. And then there's Gone Tomorrow, which has a few clear boxes in the beginning that won't appear until you hit an exclamation point box that will make them appear. But that switch box is near the end of that level, access only if you got a green gem. So you go through that green gem path, backtrack to the beginning to hit the now appearing breakable boxes, then go back to the middle of the level, and I pray you didn't hit the checkpoint box there, because if you die after all that backtracking but hit that checkpoint box at a point before you commence the backtracking, you'll have to do all that all over again. There's even one instance of a fork in the road backtracking with Sphinxinator, where if you have a purple gem, access the left route, break all the boxes there to get that route's clear gem, but then you have to backtrack the right route and get all of those boxes so you get the other gem for the completion clear gem. And backtracking in this method wouldn't be an issue if they zoomed out the camera when Crash is running towards it. Otherwise, I feel like I have to tiptoe so I wouldn't collide with an enemy I didn't see coming. But besides the backtracking and the few gimmicky vehicle levels, I did have a lot of fun with this game. Some of the platforming is pretty solid, and while I may not like the level themes as they feel cliche, I will say some of these levels contain some of the best moments in the Crash trilogy. Just because I don't like this game as much as Crash 2 doesn't mean I don't like this game in general. No, I actually really like this game, and it's still a great game in its own right. It's definitely better than the first game, I will say. For one, the graphics are by far the best in the trilogy and really stood the test of time pretty well. Yes, there's some pixelation, but nothing too noticeable. Even upscaled in HD for the PSN re-release, it still looks great. And the music, once again composed by Josh Mansell, it's not as original as the previous game's soundtrack, as with the Arabian Nights level especially, it sounds kind of cliche and even lost its cartoony element. But the soundtrack is still good. I especially love the prehistoric theme and the medieval themes, and the boss battle themes especially are great. Speaking of which, boss battles are another highlight of this game. Tiny Tiger, Dingodile, Entropy, and Engine are extremely fun to fight and challenging. The final boss, however, is probably my least favorite, as it's pretty easy compared to all of them, but even that boss battle was insanely fun to fight. And knowing that the boss battles reward you with new abilities, that makes it all the more rewarding. The super body slam, double jump, super spin, and dash are extremely useful. I honestly didn't care for the Wumpet Fruit Bazooka, as to use it you have to stand still and then aim. I only used it to destroy hard to reach boxes and nitro boxes that were in my way, so even that wasn't a bad power up. And it's nice to see all the voice actors reprise their roles with new additions like Mel Winkler voicing Aku Aku, William Hootkins voicing Dingodile, and Michael Ensign voicing Entropy. Strangely, Coco Bandicoot is silent in this game. Did they have a falling out with the voice actress? I don't know. But the voice performances work well for each of the characters, although Neo Cortex, voiced by Clancy Brown once again, is less intimidating and more pathetic in this game than the previous game. Although knowing Clancy Brown is the voice of Uka Uka, who is kind of intimidating, I guess it all evens out in the end. And most of the levels are fun to play through. In the end, it's still a great 2.5D or 3D platformer, whatever you define it as. I guess I was hoping for something more than Crash Bandicoot 2, but I was happy with what I got. It was my most anticipated game when I was like 13 and ordered it online. I waited a week for it to come in the mail. I was constantly checking the mail to see if it came, and 6 out of 7 times I was disappointed. Before ordering that, all I played was 1 and 2, and then Twinsanity and Crash of the Titans, so Crash 3 was a major piece of my collection missing until I ordered it online, and I'm still very happy with what I got. But overall, I would give Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped a 90 out of 100. It's not as good as Crash Bandicoot 2 in my subjective opinion, but it does a lot of things right, and the only criticisms that I had were only criticisms of the game not improving a lot of the issues from Crash 2, like backtracking for example. And then introducing gimmicky levels that just didn't control that as well as I would like it. And then they introduced gimmicky levels that just don't control as well as I would like it to. But comparison is the thief of joy. Crash Bandicoot 3 is still an insanely fun ride from beginning to end, so why not give it a download? Or get a physical copy used? So the Crash Bandicoot franchise kind of died after Naughty Dog, despite a few gems in the rough turning up occasionally. Happy New Year, and remember to stay awesome!